So we're gonna start with sort. This is the first S and has to do with removing unneeded items from the workplace. So this means in many cases separating needed tools, materials, and instructions from those not needed. And what is needed and what is not needed, this is a very important part of 5S because you may think, well, I need all these tools or I may need them sometime. So the clear thing here is that need is that you means that you need now or you need for the work that you will be doing in the next hours or in the next day. If you have on your desk a tool that you will use maybe in 2 years, that doesn't mean you need it now. So you have to store it in the right place, but you don't need to have it so handy. So we have to remove all the things that we don't need to achieve the current work. When we need to get rid also of anything that is not essential to the operations. And sometimes we have things that again maybe they are good, we need them, but we are not gonna use in our group. Maybe some other group uses this all the time. It happens many cases with maintenance. They just come to your section, they organize, they repair something, and they leave the tools on your workstation. But the tools are there. So what we have to make sure is that the tools that you need in your workstation, you have them right there. Whenever someone leaves tools, they need to take them with them. Then let's see some examples to see this clear. So many companies have examples like this. Trash or trash cans that are full, that they don't have a process to empty them. Tools everywhere. If you can see this picture, you'll see tools that are in the toolbox, but the toolbox is open when the employees have left the shift. You see parts that are distributed in the workshop. You see cans, you see small parts. And whenever you see this, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what happened. You don't know if they are working on that, or you don't know if they are about to throw this away. You have no idea what's going on. So many times I've seen that there are piece of equipment or parts of equipment that has just been replaced and they just leave that part right there. They don't throw it away. So I think that we need to work a lot on the first S to really removing the things that we don't need. Whenever you use it and it's broken or you just replace it, just throw that part away. Or if you're gonna store it for selling it later, just store in a place where you can sell it. This is another example. What do you see here?
Safety hazard.
Safety hazards everywhere, yes. Why do you see safety hazard? What's in there?
There's cables all over the floor. Nothing is cleaned up. Nothing's organized. No barriers, no caution tape, no nothing.
Nothing, exactly. So whenever you see this, the employees tell you, well, I need all those cables or I need all those hoses. I need those tools. Yes, you may need them, but still you can whenever you need them, maybe they are dirty, you just take them and they get everything worse. You may fall with them with these hoses. So you need to first thing that you need to do is go around this workplace, see the things that you really need. Maybe there are tools that you used a long time ago and you just left them there. So first remove all the things that you don't need, and then whenever you see, yes, I need this hose, okay, how can I leave it in an organized way so that next time I can use it without disturbing other processes. So this is someone that just use the hose and leave it there. Whenever they stop working, they just leave all the tools right there at that right location. They don't move it to a home. That's why we need to work on the second step, the store, to find a home for all this. Then what about this?
Somebody just left their safety gloves on a on a table or whatever it is. No name to identify who it belongs to. So
Exactly. It's very common. It depends on the type of industry, but whenever you work in an industry like oil and gas that is very dirty, and the employees use safety gloves and use new safety gloves all the time, so they take off their gloves, and they tend to leave them everywhere. Maybe they go to the restroom, they just leave the gloves there. Whenever they come back to the restroom, from the restroom, they got distracted and they just don't remember where they left their gloves. So they go and take a new pair, right? So there, at the end of the day, you have tons of gloves everywhere, and this is real. So that's why I keep talking about the habits. We need to ensure that the employees understand. Now, whenever you don't need something, you're not gonna use the gloves anymore. You just trash them right away and get a new pair of shoes of gloves. If you don't get rid of things right away, right when you don't need them anymore, then they maybe you're pushing that job to someone else. Someone else will find it and trash them, or you are just placing maybe a safety hazard for someone else. Another thing that happens a lot with 5S is that employees expect that as there's someone in charge of cleaning, that is the person. Okay, I just leave the gloves because someone else would come and clean. Again, we cannot wait till the end of the shift to someone to come and clean these gloves or the hoses or whatever, because they may be placing a safety hazard for someone else. And that happens all the time. You cannot wait till the end of the shift. You have to make sure there are no hazards at any time. So whenever you stop using something, you just have to store it or trash it right away. So whenever we don't have that attitude, we keep storing things that we don't need. Like you see here, for example, all these are samples of tubes that they are there for some reason. They were stored for quality reasons. The quality department left them there, but they are not identified. So we really don't know how long all these tubes have been there. So as they have no identification, we don't know if they are good tubes or they are just tested tubes, or they are tubes that are wrong, or they are tubes that belong to the customer. So nobody removes them because they are not sure why they are there. So they run out of place. As they run out of room to store all these tubes, they start putting them on the floor. So this is how we see how whenever we don't get rid of the things that we don't need anymore, we don't have a way to label them as soon as we identify them, then we keep storing place. We run out of place. So they may say, well, before starting 5S, they may decide, no, we need a room to store all these tubes that we don't have enough space. And really, if you organize the tubes the right way, you may realize that most of those tubes need to be trashed already. They have been tested. They don't need them anymore. That's it. Or they can just put them in another storeroom where, just they need to keep it maybe for legal reasons for 5 years. Well, don't keep them at your site. Just keep them in another site and use that that is more comfortable and that is closer to you for the tubes that you really need. More examples of trash. So once you have removed all the trash and you have identified all the things that you need to go to the second step, store, which is you have to arrange everything for ease of use. This is also called set in order, and this phase focuses on placing the items deemed essential back into the workstation or a specific area. What you have to do is organize the tools, the equipment, the files, the material, and the resources so that it's quick and easy to find. So storing is about labeling all the locations, but it's also about storing in a way that You make sure they will not fall, someone will not fall with them or will hurt anyone, that they will not mixed up. As we were saying on one of the pictures at the very beginning, for quality reasons, sometimes we mix good things with bad materials, or in the last picture, we have mixed maybe tubes that are not in good conditions, or tubes that need to be tested with tubes that belong to the customer. So, and the other thing is efficiency. A lot of time is lost while searching for things. So it's crucial that we work on that. This is the assist for some drawers. And what do you think about this? What would you do to make it better in this case? Do you think this is labeled, or this is stored in the right way?
No, nothing's really labeled. You can consolidate. It looks like trash bags, and you have boxes that are half empty or empty. Nothing's labeled on the shelves or written on boxes.
Exactly. So as nothing is labeled, you don't know how many you have of them. These are not transparent, so maybe the box is empty or maybe the box is full. You don't know for sure. You are also, check this, you are having a lot of space on the the height is here is too high, and you have the shelf that is too short. So that means that you are here having a lot of space that you're not using. So another part of store is to have different, maybe changing the level of the shelves so that you just have the right level and you don't have empty space. The same on the back. That's why you can use containers or drawers to use all the depth of the drawer. Whenever you use boxes that are not transparent, you cannot see inside. So with 5S, what you should do is you open that that space and you can see easily what needs to be replaced or what you need to buy. This way, we have no idea of knowing what is it that we need to buy or what is it that we need to replace. It will take for us, I don't know, what you estimate, like 3 or 4 hours to identify what you need to buy? Maybe. You probably had to do it with another team member because you don't know all the things that are needed in the team. But whenever you have everything labeled, you first define what you really need in that cabinet, and then you label it so that whenever you're running out of something, then everyone in the team can open it and say, hey, we're missing that, or I just got the last disc. Let's buy another one. But there has to be rules that you have to define. Here in this one, we don't see any rules at all. So these are other ways that people feel like they are organized, right? Do you think this is organized, or what else you would do to make it work much better?
The one on the left can use some improvement, but the picture on the right's not that bad at all.
Right. So there's again, there are several stages of 5S. So yes, they are hanged. They are organized in some way. But what happens when you take out one of those tools? Maybe whenever you have this all the sizes, well, you can figure out, this is the place where you will store it. But there are some that are just single items, and there's no way for you to know that you're missing that. Okay, especially if you're a new hire, whenever you take, let's say you take those gloves out of that hang, you have no idea to know that you have to put them back. So maybe using shapes can help you to achieve that. So can you see the screen, or you see the both screen? What are you seeing? Are you seeing the big screen with the two pictures?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Then what do you see here?
Well, it looks kind of cluttered in the background. There's one hose laying around. There's one hose laying there, and it looks kind of cluttered in the background. But it might be, I don't know.
Yeah. Imagine that I found this whenever the shift was over. So the employee just drove this lift truck. They put it just there with the hose in the middle, and they just left, you know. And the problem is that, well, I see many problems, but even the lift trucks should have a place where you should store them. You cannot just leave them in the middle of nowhere. You have to store them somewhere, maybe outside, maybe inside, anywhere, but you have to define like a parking spot for them. Apart from that, you have to clean them and you have to take care of them. But that's part of shine. But there must be a way, a place where you have to store them. Then the place where you have to store the hose. Well, and then you have this platform too. Well, there are many things that you can improve there. But everything must have a place to store. Whenever you don't have defined a place to store things, some employees may say, well, this is a good place to store the lift truck. Some others may say, well, no, I may park them outside. They make the decisions because they don't know what's the right place. So the first or the most important part of storing is to find the home for this. This is the same with this. Whenever there's no home, they just leave it anywhere. Sometimes, and you cannot even, well, sorry, yes.
The problem that I had, like when I was working as a custodian in my closet, I knew where stuff was, but it would be right where it would happen to be set down the very first time. I know that causes problems when somebody else has to cover for me and they got to look around for it. But when it's just me, it tends to be organized by just where it got put and I know it's there. How do you decide if that's a good place for it or not?
Well, so the way I see it, 5S helps you, as you said. It's much useful whenever you have a team because you can communicate better with the other people. But whenever it's just for you, it works pretty much the same way. You may think, yes, I know where everything is. But there are many studies that show that whenever you have many things around you, that they are not stored, or they are just, you know, like the picture we saw, all the letters disorganized, right? Yes, they are right there, and we know where they are. But really, these studies show that that impacts your ability to focus on your task. So the best thing is that you have very clear what is it that needs to be done. You know, whenever you're looking for something, if you have, I don't know, the clothes organized by color, or the clothes organized by category, that helps you a lot whenever you need to make a quick decision. You know where to find it. Let me show you an example. I have my closet with all the clothes by color, right? So there was this time when I was out and I asked my husband to bring a specific sweater for me. I wanted, you know, that sweater and nothing else. And the only thing I had to tell him is just go to my closet. And it was super easy for him because he was seeing the closet. All the sweaters were in the same place. They were all organized by color. So it was super easy for him to identify where the gray sweater was, because they have, you know, little options to find out. So that's one case. He was able to find it super easily. Second case, do you remember when we had the hurricanes, maybe Imelda or Harvey, right? That we ran out of electricity. I don't know if it happened to you.
I didn't ever lost power.
Oh, okay. Well, in my case, I ran out of power the last day. Then I had to move out of the house because I didn't get flooded, but I just didn't have any electricity. So it was so hot. But the other problem was that at night it was so dark, you couldn't see anything. So imagine you had to pack your things without seeing anything. So whenever you are disorganized, but in your mind, you know where to find things, try to turn off the lights and see if you still can identify what things are. it's gonna be much more difficult. So it's always easier to find things specifically in times of crisis. So whenever, what you told me is that you can always find things, but in regular times. But whenever you are in a crisis, in a problem, or someone else has to look for it for you, it will be much harder. So that's why I still recommend 5S just for you. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
All right. Next picture. This is a tooling place. This is a place where they get, where they have tools and materials for maintenance. What do you think?
The stuff on the pallet rack ain't shrunk wrapped. That's a fall hazard. I see fire hazards, tools on deck, parts on the thing. Nothing's labeled. A propane tank that ain't segregated in a proper container or storage area. The drawers in the back of the cabinet are all messed up. I can see that from here.
Yep. Yep. So you don't know what needs to be done. Let's say that you are in another team and you gave this team an equipment to repair. Then you go knock the door and say, hey, I want to see how's my equipment. Have you fixed it already? And you see all this. How would you feel?
If they're that organized, how can they put my equipment back together properly?
Yeah, I mean, you wonder, are they gonna be able to put everything together in the right way? I mean, you cannot tell by yourself if this is fixed or not, because there's no place when they store all the good things and the bad things. We're gonna see some examples of companies where they define a place where you can store the things that need to be repaired, and they have another separate drawer for the things that have been repaired. So whenever you go there, you can, oh, are they in the right drawer? Okay, I can just grab them because they are set. They're ready. That would be great, huh?
Yeah.
So this is an easy way to communicate with other teams. And also you can say here, they can say, hey, we have no room. We have no more space. We need another place to store our things. And actually they did. They have an outside storage place because they didn't have any room here. Do you feel like they don't have any room here? Do you feel the same way?
There'd be room if they cleaned up their workstation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And if you see all those shelves that they have, maybe they could add more shelves and they could increase the capacity. You have also to check the weight and see if it's possible. But they have a lot of room. But if they could only organize it in a different way, that would be much better. There's another place where they store all these things. It's really hard to find anything here. You cannot even get there. So this is very common. Many companies have these like gray areas where everyone puts everything in, which is, make sure that it's not in my room, but it's there. Do you have that in your office or in your company?
Nothing that bad.
No, nothing that bad. Yeah, this is pretty bad, but it's very common that companies have that black hole where they put everything. Well, one thing as a leader that you need to avoid is to have this type of rooms where everyone puts everything. Whenever you have a room where you can store things, just make sure it has enough shelves and that people, whoever wants to input something there, they need to label it or identify in some way so that anyone else that want to use it can use it later on. Otherwise, you may be looking for stairs or for I don't know, material, and maybe it's there and you cannot even find it. So whenever you sort, it's not just remember, it's not just about trashing things, but maybe storing in the right location. So you can have like a storing room, but it needs to be labeled. And sometimes labeling is just this, What do you see there?
Unknown.
Unknown.
Nobody knows what it is.
Exactly. So Labeling, you had to make sure that it really works. Whenever you define something as unknown, uh, it really doesn't make sense. You have to try to identify all the things that you have and labeling the right way. Labeling is not just for sake of labeling, but it needs to mean something and be useful for everyone. Then another safety hazard.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrible. But the good thing is that whenever we see this, we identify easily what's wrong. But why is it that the other, like the person in this group, didn't realize? Do you have any idea?
They got electrical cords and power charging station next to a flammable cabinet, and the thing on the drum is to puncture it and empty the contents of the aerosol can, so you have
Exactly.
possible spark of igniting.
Exactly. And how come you know that and they that work there don't know that?
Yeah.
They just get used to that. You just get used to being uh, complacent, and you just, whenever no one is checking on you, or whenever you're not used to organize things in the right way, you just keep doing things that you don't even realize that they are wrong. So that's why 5S improves a lot safety, because makes people feel more conscious and more aware of what they need to work on and what they need to change. So the third step is shine, which is setting a new level of cleanliness, where you clean every facility and every equipment. You look for places that are difficult to clean. You look for sources of trash, and you make everything looking like brand new. That is the main objective. Setting a new level of cleanliness so that you can detect errors more easily. Cleanliness provides a safe work area and make potential problems visible. So a lot of teams or a lot of people in your team may say, well, again, I don't want to clean because this is not my job. But what we have to tell them is that it's part of getting the job done. Whenever you don't clean things, or you don't not maintaining the things, you may lose problems. Maybe equipment links, loose parts, missing guards, loose paperwork or materials. You can detect all that when when you're more careful. Cleanliness for every place means that you are gonna check the ceiling, the walls, the furniture. So 5S is not about cleaning the equipment, all right? You want to make sure the entire workplace is clean. Also, online folders, physical folders, whenever you have a computer, and if you don't keep it clean internally, you don't remove all the things that are in the trash, or whenever you don't clean the documents that you don't use anymore, then you can also run out of space, and you have to pay for extra space in the cloud. So it's very important that maintenance is good for both physical and online things.
I like your comment about look for the root cause.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in detail. It's very important that we focus on the root cause,
You
because
learned a lot about root cause at that last conference, right?
yeah. Yeah, well, we're not gonna look a lot in detail on the root cause tools. We're gonna mention some of them. Maybe Eddie, if you are an expert on quality, you have been working on that. Maybe you can provide some better examples. But it's very important to look for the root cause of the problem, because that helps you to avoid cleaning in the future. So what we're gonna focus with 5S is not to increase the amount of time used to clean, but we're gonna avoid cleaning things that we shouldn't clean. Okay, so when we are removing the root cause, we have less reasons to clean, and that's one of the things that we're gonna check. Well, what do you see here in this picture?
Danger, danger, danger.
Yes, yes, it's super dangerous. This floor it's oily, so you can fall anytime. And this is a vacuum cleaner. They just use it to get the water with oil, but the problem is that they use it and then whenever they finish, they just leave it right there. Mm.
Right.
They don't clean the equipment, so whenever the other shifts come, they just found this. They find the equipment that is not being used, but it's all dirty, so they have to go clean it. So what happened when you see this? Then you get tired and you prefer, well, I don't even clean because I don't want to clean whatever the other guys in the other team did not do. So this is kind of a cycle that is a bad cycle because you avoid cleaning and you avoid doing things that will keep you safe just because nobody else is doing it. And you see it in many examples. You see how all these drums are not being cleaned. They are all rusty. They have parts missing. They are not closed, so there's no standard to close them. You have a bottle of water right there. You have you have cartons behind the drums. You have the walls dirty. So there are many things that indicate that these people just do the minimum work and they never think of cleaning this. And then you have oil everywhere. And when you have oil everywhere, then you also have this. What do you see? So how do you think they are opening the door?
Not by the handle.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're probably opening it with, with their feet or whatever,
Dirty
like a ninja.
gloves.
Yes, wearing gloves. So apparently there are no rules to take the gloves off before doing that, right? Maybe whenever you stop working, you just take off your gloves, you put it in the right place, you go to the restroom or you go out for lunch, and then you get back, you put on your gloves. That way, if you follow that system, that door will never be that dirty. Is that right? So that's where I get these questions. Well, this is not an operating room. Yes, but this can be done. The only thing is that you need to get the habit of just taking the gloves off in the right location. But again, maybe you are the one that is taking off the gloves, but the other person is not doing that. So in 5S, what you would do is tackle the root cause of the problem. Why is it that we have this? Maybe we don't have enough gloves, so that's why people don't take them off. Or maybe we don't have a location to store the gloves. Or maybe people are not trained to take care of the door. As I mentioned before, part of 5S is to respecting everything. Not only everyone, but also everything. This door is very important for the facility. So you had to take care of the door. You never had to open it with your feet, or you never had to leave it that dirty. Same is with this. This is a machine in a lab, in a quality lab. You are not taking or you are not respecting the machine because you are not cleaning it. It's rusty. There's no sticker showing if it was checked or if the measure is right. We don't know if it's certified. So those are the things that indicate that um, the shine is not there. We are not maintaining the right equipment. So how can you ensure that your product will be done correctly if you are not taking care of the equipment? Imagine a client coming to your location and see all of these things. How can they feel comfortable that you will do their product the right way? So it's part of 5S, it's part also of branding your company, showing your customers how much you care about your workplace will tell them that you are caring about them and their products as well. Another problem we find with Shine is that we have, probably you have tools to clean, but they are just left anywhere. So one thing that we're gonna make sure is that all the equipment that is required for cleaning is set and organized in a specific location, and it's clean whenever it's not used anymore. And I don't know if in your locations you have someone that makes that do the cleaning. Maybe you have janitor guys, but if that's the case, you also have to train them, because in many cases these items are used by these janitor guys. So you need to train them on where to store them and help them and facilitate them to store them in the right place. Check also this. Well, these are all safety hazards. The floor here is wet, so maybe you clean it. Are you sure that tomorrow is not going to be wet again? We have to find out what's the root cause for why is it wet. Do we have a hole on the roof, on the ceiling? Do we have a problem on the floor? Is there something that is not leveled? Well, we have to find out, otherwise we'll keep cleaning, or we will keep having the the wet part of the floor, and it's gonna impact the safety of our people. This is a funny one. Do you know what this is?
There looks like there used to be a mat of some sort there.
Exactly. There was a mat, and with the 5S, I said, okay, so have you ever cleaned the mat? Remember that 5S, we clean every part, not just the floor. I mean, there's a mat on the floor, we need to clean it. If there are cabinets, we need to clean them on the outside and on the inside, because this all may show a problem. We don't know what's under the carpet, right? So yes, when they removed the mat, apparently it has never been removed before. So all the dirt was under the mat. So this location in particular was always smelling very, like smelling like humid, smelling fishy. And yes, this was a problem after Harvey. Parts of the floor were ruined, but you cannot keep having these mats that are ruined for a long time, because employees will get sick, and they were actually getting sick more often. They were feeling not like COVID, but they were having those type of some symptoms, because there was this fishy smell that was impacting also their health. So the problem is that they are not these employees. I was training the operators, but do you think they are the ones cleaning the floor? No, they are not the ones cleaning the floor. There's a janitor guy there cleaning the floor, and they just learn to clean around the carpet. So they need to be trained as well. Whenever you're implementing 5S in your company, it's also good that you train your customers, your suppliers, and every contractor that gets into the company. Then the shine is also about keeping things in good conditions, right? And this is supposed to be used to clean. I think it's to clean your goggles. How do you think they will be cleaned with this?
Nasty.
Yeah. So this is never replaced, so you never clean your goggles. So then, it's a cycle that we don't want to repeat. That's why we have to work on the standardize, to defining a system to maintain all the S's, the first, the second, and the third, to systematically follow them and engage the workforce, showing the standards all around the workplace using visual management techniques to help them maintain all the standards. So we had to define standards and check with them all the time. Let's see some examples. Well, this is a standard. In a place, the manager decided to have a picture of what is not and is not acceptable, right? So he took a picture of what he didn't want in the plant. So this is a standard, but I would prefer that you have standards that say what needs to be done, not what is wrong. Or anyway, in many companies they use the before and after pictures. That also works. We're gonna see how that works. But whenever you have something that is wrong, you just take the picture. That's the before. But then it's not enough just to say, well, this is wrong or this is the before. You need to go to positive examples. So posting pictures of how it should look like or what is right, what is the standard. Because this is unacceptable. But what do you understand is the acceptable? Can you tell with after that picture what is acceptable?
No,
No.
it doesn't give you the limits.
Right. So you may imagine, okay, the yellow means that maybe it's up to that point, but maybe he's talking about something else too. Maybe he's saying, well, this is not the right material that needs to go into that container. I don't know. So you have to be very clear on the instructions on what you want to standardize. So remember that we talked about empowerment. So the way you empower your people is also by providing them with transparency, with information. One of the ways to that is to show them KPIs, to show them boards, whatever they see, they can see how they are doing, what are the improvements, when do we have more safety issues, or when do we have more leaks. That's how we can find out. We can use that information maybe for root cause analysis, or we can use that to track when we have more problems. But again, it's if we have this in the office and the employees cannot see it, we're not giving them information to make decisions. So as much information as we can share with them, we are we're helping them to take the power and really take ownership for their work. Standardizing passages, corridors, that helps. But that you also have to standardize how you want things to get done with other teams. So what do you see here in this picture?
Looks like they put a brace on there earlier that was too big.
Yeah, there's too much grace, right?
If that's what those two red marks are, is covering up holes.
Yeah, so looks like there's too much grease, and maybe the person in maintenance thought that was okay, or maybe he was cleaning his fingers in that, and that's it, right? But then you as an employee, how do you feel when you see that? You as an employee, you as an operator, you feel frustrated because your machine is getting dirty with that grease, which doesn't help. In many cases, even you maybe know better than me, but sometimes too much grease is bad, right? It makes the process work worse. So it depends on each process. Sometimes you need more, sometimes you need less. But those instructions need to be worked together with other teams. So 5S also should help you to organize with other teams. Whenever you see this operator should go to the maintenance guys or whoever did this and say, hey, this is not the way I want it. This is the way I like to be it. How can we define a standard so that we both feel comfortable with this? So whenever someone needs to fix this machine or this equipment, they already know how to do it. Because it also happens that one day you have a maintenance guy and the next day you have another maintenance guy. And they just, you just talk it through with the one guy and then the other guy does the same mistake. Or maybe they use less reason and, we need more, whatever. So it's great that you define the standards, but you make them visual, very clear. And we're going to review with some pictures how you can visualize all these things. And then the last step will be self-organized, to make the 5S habit as part of your day-to-day activities, not only for you, but also for your employees, and that it's implemented everywhere in the organization. So it's not that I'm going to use it only for the tooling department or only for maintenance. In many companies, they just implement 5S in the manufacturing site. But what happened in the office? In the office, they cannot find the documentation and they have parts of equipment that are stuck there. So it should be implemented everywhere. I also go to check the break rooms, the kitchen, HR, the restrooms, everything should talk about what is important for 5S. Because if the employees, you are telling them, hey, you organize your section, you organize your workstation, whatever, but then they go to the leader's office and they see everything out of place, the first thing they will say, hey, why should I organize my things, or why you think for me is important while for you it's not important? Have you ever got that question?
Yeah, because I was one of the coaches, and yeah, if they came up and saw my desk, they would say, that's not very 5S.
Yes, yes. Many times, whenever I'm teaching it, the students want to check my backpack and see if I'm organized. And yes, I mean, they are the right to do that, because what you cannot teach something that you don't practice. And believe me, I'm not the best organized girl in the world. I'm really bad. But 5S helps me to be much better. So I really focus on improving every day to make it part of my day too. So you as a leader, again, need to make sure 5S is set everywhere, in the restroom, in the reception, everywhere. Especially for clients, whenever they get into the company, if they see everything clean, not only the manufacturing side, but also the offices, the restroom, the reception, they will feel more comfortable that their product is going through the entire supply chain and will be taken care of everywhere. Remember, the experience of the customer is important, and every part of the chain is part of that. It's part of giving this great experience. So the way I implement 5S, I tend to implement it in pilots. So I go first to a room or to a department, and then we make sure it's implemented there, and then we go to other sections. And the reason why I do that is because doing well is contagious. So whenever people see that one department is doing well, is doing much better, it's organized, they say, maybe I should do the same. Why I'm not having that training? So they start asking for the training. And that's the best thing that can happen to you, because you are not pushing 5S to the employees. They are pulling that. They want to have it. So that is creating engagement right away. That whenever you got that engagement, you have employees that are more receptive to have the training, more receptive to organize, and to keep implementing this everywhere. The way I put it is in this little cycle, which is the last 3 micro steps of the 5S, which you achieve self-organization by first helping the employees to make small changes every day. Even having a new tool and defining it or labeling it, or cleaning a corner that was never clean, or finding a new root cause for a leak, that's a micro step. If you can have, imagine this, you can have every employee in your company making a micro step every week, how many changes would you have during the year?
Right.
You will have a lot. Imagine you have 4 changes per employee per month, then you have 10 employees, then you will have 40 changes a month that you can measure if you can make them track these changes. So you have to train them to go ahead and make small changes, no matter if they're small, but make the changes. Make them seamless. That means that try to remove all the obstacles so that they keep doing this. Let's say that one day you organize your tools, but the next time another shift or another team member just take them out. Well, see why that happened. What's the obstacle? Maybe the employee doesn't agree with the way that those things are located. Maybe you have to store them in a different place, somewhere easier to find. I don't know. But try to look for all the obstacles that are in the communication with your team members or in finding things and change them so that you can keep repeating and repeating and repeating the new habits that you're getting. That's how you will self-organize, and you will help your team also to be part of that. So things are like these are showing that the team is not yet self-organized. So yeah, you do 5S, you painted all the shapes, but still you don't put them back, all the tools. So that's not 5S, all right? It's very important that we work on the discipline of, okay, yeah, you took the tools out, but put them back. It's the repeat. It's, yeah, repeat, repeat, repeat. Put them back, put them back, because otherwise 5S doesn't work, okay? This is very common. You will see it at the very beginning of the implementation, so you don't get frustrated. Just keep pushing. Hey, remember, put them back, take pictures, show them in different meetings so that they know that they need to change. Also, you can track improvements. You can measure. I'll show you a template of audits that you can use and make them report things. You see, here's a hole that have not been reported. You can see all these things. Take pictures and report it. You can see nuts or bolts that were left there. Maintenance comes, fix something, and just leaves other things with problems. So work on fixing that.